What is up, bros and broettes? I am Slasher44, and today we do Versus. So Versus is where we put two weapons head-to-head, or something else in a Call of Duty game, and see which one is better. And today we are looking at two 3-round burst weapons. The reason why I picked these two is because they are the only 3-round burst weapons in the game, so they should compare pretty damn well. So we've got the M16 today, one of the new DLC weapons that you can get from supply drops, versus the ARX-160, my favorite weapon in the game. So already out of the gate, I'm a little biased, but as you guys know, my bias doesn't play any effect in this series, only the weapon stats do. So like always, we are going to start out by looking at the damage profile. The M16 damage profile is as follows. We got 45 damage up close, 30 at mid-range, and 25 at long range, ranging from a 3 to a 4 bullet kill. And let me tell you, that is some of the best damage profile in the game. It's actually the exact same as the AK-47, another DLC weapon, but it's very good. It's a great damage profile. Now, if we look at the ARX-160s, we have 35 up close, 32 at mid-range, and 20 at long range, ranging from a 3 to a 5 bullet kill. And because of that, the damage profile is a little bit worse at long range, and for that, we're going to give the M16 plus 10 points. So the M16 takes an early lead by 10 points, but the next thing we're going to look at, as always, is the fire rate. So the fire rate is hugely important with these weapons, and there's two parts to it. There's the fire rate itself, which is the rate that the bullets come out of the gun, and the burst delay, which is the delay between the first 3 bullets coming out of the gun and the second 3 bullets coming out of the gun. So as for the M16, it's got a 420 fire rate, which is a very slow fire rate, with a 0.18 second burst delay, which is again very bad. For the ARX-160, we have a 610 fire rate and a 0.1 second burst delay, so better in both aspects. So because of that, the ARX-160 gets plus 10 points, and I don't understand why both aspects would be better. You think if they were trying to balance the two guns, they would make it so one was better on one gun, and then maybe the burst delay is better on the other gun. But no, it's both better for the ARX-160, and let me tell you, I've looked at the stats, and it only gets worse for the M16 from here. So, as far as the ammo goes, we have 45 bullets in a magazine for the ARX-160, and a total of 180 bullets, and for the M16, we've got 30 bullets in the chamber and 180 total bullets. So the total bullets are the same for the both guns, but you're going to have to reload the ARX-160 less often because you got 45 bullets in the chamber, which is very good, and because of that, the ARX-160 gets plus 10 points. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is hip spread. Now, hip spread isn't a huge deal when it comes to a burst action weapon, just because you're not going to often fire from the hip, but just for your knowledge, so the hip spread for the ARX-160 is 3-inch minimum hip spread and a 6.75-inch maximum hip spread, whereas the M16 has a 3-inch minimum hip spread but a 7-inch maximum hip spread. So not a huge difference, just that 0.25-inch difference for the M16, which is a bit worse, but I figured that wasn't worth giving the ARX-160 10 points for, just because it's not a big enough difference. But then I took into account the view kick. So the view kick is almost twice as bad for the M16. There's a lot of view kick when it comes to the M16, and on top of that, I know view kick can be a little bit preferential for the person, because different guns kick different directions, and some people like one direction more than another. So I also added in the whole iron sights, because the iron sights on the frickin' M16 are god awful. Some of the worst in Call of Duty history this M16 has. So because of that, we are going to give plus 10 points to the ARX-160. So as you can see, it's just surmounting a larger and larger lead. So next thing we're going to look at is the reload speed. So the one thing that the M16 actually kind of had going for it was the reload speed, but it's still not better than the ARX-160, just barely. So we got 2.03 second when your clip isn't empty. When your clip is empty, it's 2.36 seconds. If we look at the ARX-160, it's 2 seconds when your clip isn't empty and 2.3 when it is empty. So both aspects are better. So because of that, another 10 points goes to the ARX-160. So it's just, again, surmounting a larger and larger lead. Now, the one thing we can look at is the damage range is exactly the same for both of them. So from short to mid-range, we got 300 millimeters, and from mid to long range, we got 2,000 millimeters. Exactly the same for both. I mean, at least it has one stat that's kind of comparable. And the next thing we're going to look at is aim down sights time. So the aim down sights time for most assault rifles in the game is 250 milliseconds, and it is for the ARX-160. But for the M16, it's 100 milliseconds longer. It's a 350 milliseconds aim down sights time. So again, another plus 10 points for the ARX-160. So two guns that I thought were going to compare very, very well ended up being some of the worst weapons to compare in the game. Like, the ARX-160 is just largely better than the M16. Not to mention, the ARX-160 has variants that make it a much better gun. The M16 really doesn't have any good variants whatsoever. Like, there's the royalty one's alright, but it slows down the fire rate and makes the gun even worse. So, really, the ARX-160 just stomps all over the M16. So if you're going to use a 3-round burst weapon, use the ARX-160. That's my tip of the day. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. It'd be super, super greatly appreciated. Check me out on Twitch and Twitter. Twitter is the best way to stay in contact with me. If you have any questions with me whatsoever, check me out on Twitter, link in the description, and subscribe to join the Ink Army. And until next time, guys, peace out!